Today I'm talking to Bryonie Baxter, owner at the No Plastic Shop. Based on Dartmoor, the No Plastic Shop is an online plastic-free shop featuring local, sustainable, plastic-free products alongside well-known ethical brands. Welcome to the show, Bryonie.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. So to start off with, why don't you, if you could tell us a little bit more about you and your business and maybe sort of how you started and how long you've been going?
Well, it's fairly new to me, actually. I started last January, but the shop has been going in existence for a couple more years before that. It was set up by someone I used to work with originally, and she brought me on as a social media manager to run the Instagram when it was a new business, because that's what I started doing, freelance social media management for clients. And I'd worked with her on another project. And so we were working together doing that. And, you know, just really blown away with the business and the potential for the business. This was back in 2018, when there was very few plastic-free shops online in the UK. And it really did seem to appeal to a lot of people. And there seemed to be a real need for online access to plastic free, because not every community has a plastic free shop. I mean, there are nowadays, it's a bit more common, especially in a city, but I live very rurally and there aren't the kind of shops around that service that.
No.
So no, and so it was doing really well, but personal reasons meant that she had to give up the shop and she wasn't sure what she was going to do with it. So it lay dormant for a while, and I approached her and said, well, I would really like to take it on if you wanted to sell it to me. So she did, and that was great. It took a long time for sort of the admin to all happen. And so the shop was probably dormant for about 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
And I took it on and I rebranded it, changed sort of the logo. And because of where I live, which is very different to where she lived, I really wanted to bring it to have some more local products and make it more representative of the area in which I live, which is Dartmoor.
Yes, that's quite a big thing to sort of take on, is to an existing business. That must have been a really, how did you did you have any challenges with kind of figuring out the logistical and all the admin side of it? It must have been quite
well. I guess it was slightly easier for me because I'd never worked like on the back end of it. I mean, I was literally doing the sort of social media marketing, so I wasn't involved in any of that. But I got a little bit of a kind of a gentle introduction to it. I think if I had started up one from scratch, I mean, I would have been doing all the research from the get-go. And because I'd worked with the shop for at least a year by that point, I had quite a good idea about the kind of things that sold well, the kind of content that resonated with the customers. And so it was a little easier, I think, to take on something that pre-existed. I mean, there were challenges too with taking on something that already had like a history and it already had a presence. But because it already had a presence, I think I had a little bit more of a gentle introduction into setting up a shop. Because again, I had a customer base already when I took it on. Whether those people stayed with me, you know, obviously people come and go. But, you know, I had a newsletter subscription list already. So it came to me sort of a little bit pre-packaged, which was quite nice, because some of the decisions that I think may have held me back, because God, I don't know about you, but I can agonize about tiny decisions for ages, and that can really stop me doing stuff. So, you know, just things like what beeswax wrap to stock when there are so many options. I mean, those kind of things, I could spend weeks just thinking about that. But as it came to me with products, some of which I've kept and some of which I haven't, but because some of those decisions were made for me, I meant I could make sort of bigger, broader strategic decisions, I think, because I wasn't so bogged down with the detail.
So you sound as if you had a real advantage, in as much as, so somebody would normally be launching a site from scratch. As you say, they've got zero customer base, they've got zero following on social media. Because you had that existing social media presence, do you think you changed how you launched the site when it relaunched? Did you do anything different than you were doing before when it was being run by the other lady, do you think?
I think working with a client as a social media manager is really different to running your own marketing. And I'm really good at selling other people's stuff. I mean, it seems, I mean, I could sing her praises and I could sing the shop's praises. Also, I really believed in it. You know, so that obviously is a massive advantage. and I found marketing her much easier than marketing me. So actually, when I went to relaunch, again, these things that kind of kept me up at night going, making small decisions. Should I be really visible as the face of the business, or should I just, smoothly transition from one to the other? And actually what I wanted to do, because the physical location had changed, even though it was an online shop, the physical location had changed. And because where I live is really important to me, because we live in such a unique part of the UK here. And it dominates a lot of decisions I make, and a lot of the lifestyle that I lead is based because I'm so rural and I have access to this amazing landscape. And I didn't want to keep that part of the story out of it. So I did deliberate about whether I should kind of come up big and do a relaunch and go, hi, here I am. But I thought that also the existing customers needed to have some understanding of why the shop had gone quiet for such a long time and why it was suddenly back with a different logo. So I did do a social posts and a newsletter about sort of before I opened, about that I'd taken it on, and that they may have known me already because I was the person. If you message somebody or any comment you left on Instagram, I'll be the one who to reply to it, and just introduce myself. And then I kind of did a soft launch leading up to when I actually opened the doors. But the trouble was, perfect timing as always. I launched just 2 weeks before first lockdown last year. So I'd kind of, because again, the shop, it would all been ready to go from January. And again, I was umming and ahhing and waiting for things to be just right. Which I should never have done. I should have just gone in full tilt and worked out the details later. But so I was working out a few of these things and launched. And then quick succession, lockdown happened. And then everything sort of changed. And initially I had to close again just because I had to shield, and it wasn't possible for me to deliver, to get the orders out. And I didn't want there to be any delay to people getting their orders, because I thought that would be awful. The beginning of a new business, and then you start, messing clients around. It wouldn't be great. So I closed temporarily until I could work out a way of safely being able to get to the post office and get orders out. And then I reopened again. But because all that had kind of happened, it kind of opened with a little bit of a whimper rather than a bang. And I think if I could do it again, I would have just come in running rather than crept in quietly.
But that's understandable. And it's really interesting the way you said about the fact that it's easier to market and promote somebody else than it is yourself. And I think that's something that so many people will resonate with. I've always hidden behind a logo and a business, and been the company. And it's only recently that I've been brave enough, because it is a fear thing, been brave enough to say, do you know what? It needs to be about me, and I need to kind of be the voice and come. But it's hard. It's scary.
Yeah, it really is.
Really scary.
It is. Because we know all the right things we're supposed to do, especially on social media, like the right things. You've got to get your face out there, you've got to do lives, and you've got to do reels, and you've got to do stories, anything. And that's not really my comfort zone. And I know I need to do it more, but at the moment I can still do it in the newsletter. I do talk about, and I write as me rather than we. I don't say we about the business, because there is no we, there is just me. So if you message the Facebook page, you're going to talk to me. If you email the shop, you're going to talk to me. I mean, like I don't know if you get these too, but I get like emails into the shop saying, can I speak to your marketing manager? And I'm like, well, it'd be lovely if I had a marketing manager, but it's just me. Or can I speak to your like those kind of things. And you're like, well, it'd be lovely if I had this great team behind me, but no, it's just me. And that's a massive advantage in some ways, because I don't have to check with anyone before I do something. And I can make decisions really quickly, and I can pivot really quickly. But it also means that sometimes I will tie myself up in knots about a decision that is so minor that I don't know why I'm wasting my time, but I can get a little bit stuck because I don't have anyone to bounce ideas off.
Yes, and again, that's a very common thing that you find, isn't it, when so many of us are just, especially now with lockdown, and we haven't got networking groups that we can go and just kind of hang out with, and we haven't got even friends that we can go and chat things over with, and it does make it very challenging. Yes, certainly. So does social media bring you most of your customers? Is that your main kind of marketing pillar, so to speak? Or
no, actually, not at all. Click-through rate to buy from social media is negligible. I do it because it's a great way to have a shop front visible to people, and also I can share other sort of interesting things. But actually, most of the sales come either direct to the website or through the newsletter. The newsletter, obviously, anyone who opens the newsletter has got to have a pretty large interest in doing so. I mean, I don't know how many email newsletters you get, but I get a fair amount, and the only ones I open are the ones I'm genuinely interested in reading, so they tend to have a pretty good click-through rate to buy.
And how did you say, was it a weekly newsletter you said?
Oh, well, it's when I can get one done. So I do sort of average one a week. I don't want to do too much because, again, I don't want to spam people. I don't want them to be bored. So I don't tend to share unless I've got something genuinely interesting to tell them. If I've got new products in, I will talk about that. And I've just done, for January, I've done 31 sort of ideas to green up your life. So for 31 days of January, but rather than send a newsletter every day, which I thought would be way too much, I've done one a week, but, with groups of ideas. So the last one went out. Yeah. So I tried, and it's not salesy. There was nothing, there was no sales angle to that at all. It was just trying to share interesting ideas with people.
And I guess people who are interested in your products and know you will be keen to share that with other people as well. It's the nature of your kind of product, isn't it? People who buy, who are looking for this product, they're passionate about saving the planet and about losing all that awful plastic packaging. My daughter is she's got all of us into this because she will not buy anything that has any kind of plastic packaging or anything. So it's and it's her, in fact, that told me about you, because she has bought stuff from you.
Oh, really? So, that's nice to know.
Yes, she has. So what do you find is the kind of the hardest part of running the business? Do you have a big...
No, I don't like admin very much. I don't know if anyone likes admin. I'm not great at that. Well, I know that I'm not great at the back-end website stuff, so I outsourced it. I really thought I could spend hours trying to work out what widget goes where, or I could get someone to do it for me. What I think might be more difficult for me, especially with the type of business that I run, is trying to sell without selling, because what I don't want to do, as is with a sustainable business, I don't want people buying stuff they don't need. That's quite a tricky business model when you're running a shop. Okay, so I genuinely, if someone doesn't need it, I don't want them to buy it. However, if they do need it, I'd quite like them to buy it from me, so that's pretty much, I think, that one of the hardest challenges I find running a plastic-free shop, because any unnecessary purchases are not really helping the cause, are they?
No, I suppose I'd never thought of it that way. That's a really valid point, and you're almost fighting consumerism, and yet you're running an e-commerce brand, so it's a fine balance, and I really like that. Kind of.
Well, also I mean customers as well. People are very canny to that. They know when they're being sold to, and they know when people aren't being genuine. And when you read on Instagram posts from an ethical business and it feels a bit salesy and pushy, then you kind of automatically turned off from that. So it is a fine line. I'm not sure I always get it right, but I kind of wanted to do this with integrity. Yes. Otherwise, there was no point doing it.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's wonderful. So with your product range, you say you stock a lot of local product. I'm looking over there because I've got your website up there. Are you constantly sort of sourcing new products? Are you always looking for new products, or how do you go about kind of deciding what products you're going to actually add to your website when you find new ones?
Well, when I first took over the business, there were some product lines that I thought, I knew they were good products, and I knew that they had an audience waiting for them already because it'd been proven. So it seemed a bit silly to sort of ditch everything. But there were product lines that, maybe this is my shop, I kind of wanted stuff that I would have used myself. So I did approach local soap makers, because I thought that was something that would definitely be serviced locally. So all the soaps that are in the shop are produced within 20 miles of me here, even though it's obviously an online shop, but my physical location here. So that was important. I've got them from 3 different suppliers now that are all based on Dartmoor, and where I've got products that are being produced overseas, I'm trying to bring it in locally. So, there currently is some stock of bamboo toothbrushes which come from Germany, but we also have a local bamboo toothbrush maker in Ashburton, which is just over the moors from me. So I'm moving where stock's running out, I'm trying to bring in the local product to replace it. So I am always looking out for new products as well. I'm researching at the moment a vegan moisturizer which is being made locally, so hopefully I'll be able to introduce that too.
I suppose it's hard because normally there are trade fairs and shows and markets that you can go and visit, and of course we can't do that now, so that definitely adds to the challenge, doesn't it, of finding those lovely products.
For sure, yeah, because it has to be a lot of searching online, talking to people on social media, trying to find new and interesting suppliers who also are interested in an ongoing relationship with the shop.
Yes, yeah. So with your website, like if you could change anything about your website, what would you change? Anything about your website? Is there any any functionality that it doesn't have that you wish it did? Because I always find that side fascinating, because we all kind of build a website. I've done it so many times. Build a website, you think, wait, that's so great, and then 3 months down the line you think, oh, I should have done it like this, and now it's so much hassle to go back and change it. Am I the only person that does that, or is that something that you've found at all?
There's quite a lot of things I want to change about the website. I'm going through a little bit of not a rebrand, because the branding will stay the same, but a little bit of a revamp. And there's lots of things that I want to include on the website. I want to make it much more informative. I've got a lot of blog content that I've written. Then I want to make that more of a feature. I want to also really showcase the brands that I stock, especially the local ones, because where we got plastic free is much more accessible, and that's a great thing. But if you can buy bamboo cotton buds in Tesco's or Holland and Barrett, and you can buy reusable makeup wipes in Holland and Barrett, why are people going to come to me?
Yes.
I mean, it's great that you can buy these things with your weekly shop, and I'm all for it, but I've got to give people a reason to actually shop with me rather than shop with Holland and Barrett or Tesco or any of the supermarkets that are doing it. And the only thing that I've got going differently is my physical location and the brands that I stock. So I want to make much more of a showcase of them. And also the search functionality is not great, and I want the search functionality to be all whiz bang, but it's also, again, how much do you spend on the technical side if it works? I mean, at the moment you can buy, you can browse the website and you can buy through it, so it's how much money do you put in at that end?
It's difficult to know, if I make this change, what will the impact be to the overall business and to the number of people who actually end up buying. And it is, at some point, I suppose it's a leap of faith, and but it's good that you're always thinking about, you have to always think about that side of things, don't you? And then when the opportunity arises, I guess you know what you need to do to kind of move forward, don't you? If you were, I mean, I love the fact that you took over an existing business, but if you did it again, is there anything that you'd do differently, do you think?
What, with taking over the business or with starting one?
Or I presume you're happy that you did take over the business, and you wouldn't sort of, if I said to you, like, what would you do differently? You'd go, oh, I'd start from scratch. I know you've already said that you are glad you didn't have to do that. But are there any things that you would have changed if you kind of had a do-over, as they say in America?
Well, as I said earlier, I wouldn't have procrastinated quite as much as I did. I mean, but that's on me. I mean, I'm a champion procrastinator when I want to be. So I think I would have, just got the shop back open, and then tried to do the changes I wanted to do alongside that, which I think would have been totally manageable. But it's time constraints, hours in the day, and yeah, how much money you can put in up front as well to that.
Yeah. So we're perfect world, your ideal kind of scenario. Where do you see it in 5 years' time? It's real vintage.
Hopefully still going, hopefully still running. That would be great. The market's changed a lot since the shop originally opened, when it first was in. There's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of people doing a really amazing stuff. There's a lot of plastic-free online shops. So if this one is still going, that'd be great. And I would like to expand the product lines.
Yeah.
And because there's quite a few areas that I don't cover at the moment. Because again, I don't want to spread myself too thinly. I want to concentrate on doing the ones I'm doing well before I start expanding that. And I also would like to produce much more informative content for people, and maybe some collaborations with some organizations or charities would be great.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Just one last thing. I suspect I know what you're going to answer to this one. It would be when it's just like what would you, if I was coming to you as somebody starting out with an online store, what do you think would be the one piece of advice that you'd give me based on the experiences that you've had?
Just do it, give it a go, try it. I mean, don't put your life savings into it unless you know it's a good idea, but you can do these things with quite a small budget, and you can be quite creative with what you do. And I would just give it a go, because you're never going to know if you don't give it a go. It's like with every bit of feedback you get, you don't know. People don't tend to talk to you unless they're unhappy with something, I think, most of the time. So it's great when you get positive feedback, and that means that hopefully some people are happy and they will keep coming back. And if you've got repeat customers as well, that's a really good indication that you're doing something right there.
Oh, that's wonderful. So it's been lovely hearing your story, Bryonie, and I love what you do, because I will, hand on heart, I'm not an eco warrior, but I really do appreciate and I understand how important this is. And I try and do my bit when I can, but I know I need to do more. And so I really appreciate what you're doing and what it's doing for the world. And I think we just need to get more people to understand that it only takes, we can make a small decision on sort of buying this product or that product. And it's not much of a, it doesn't make much difference to us, but it can make a big difference to the environment and to our future. There we go.
Well, that's one point actually that would be quite interesting. It's like, I think also within the sustainability market, there's a lot of judgment, and that's not helpful for anybody. I mean, I'm not a perfect eco warrior. I've got a background. I used to work for Greenpeace, and so I've got a little bit more of an understanding maybe. But I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I mean, actually achieving zero waste for most people is completely unachievable. And so if you start putting barriers and judgment on that, like they're not doing enough or they're not doing it right, and the only way to do it is this way, then that's going to put so many people off, and it's going to make people not even approach it. And you can find that there's a lot of negative judgment about people's journeys towards zero waste online. And I don't think that is helpful. And I don't want to ever make anyone feel guilty about the choices that they're making. That's not what I want to do. I would like to encourage people to try these changes, and hopefully some of them will stick. Not everyone's going to love a shampoo bar. Some people will, but try it, and if it works for you, that's amazing. And anything that people can do to work towards a more sustainable life is obviously fabulous. But I'm not going to sit there and criticize you or judge you for your choices.
Oh, well said, well said. So if people want to find out more about you, where can they go? You and your business, obviously.
Well, they can, I'm at No Plastic Shop on Instagram and Facebook, at No Plastic Shop UK on Twitter. they could email me if they wanted to. I'm say hello at noplasticshop.co.uk, and obviously you can contact me through the website as well.
Wonderful. Well, the details of the website and all your social links will be in the show notes anyway. So anybody wants to find out more, they can go there as well. But thank you so much for talking to me. It's been fascinating listening to your story and understanding more about your business. And I wish you every success with No Plastic Shop. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.